I'm also wondering in terms of the academic part of it, because you're able to do the fun things, but then you have this family that had this experience with books and what. Did you see a career path in academics? Is that something you are forced, you feeling that you're doing balancing, or say, oh, I have to go through school, but you kind of had already seen your path elsewhere?
I hadn't seen my path as clearly. Back then, you're just reading to pass.
Yeah.
And it's the reason I think that played a role in me taking on a degree in economics. Simply because when my parents sat me down and asked me, what do you want to do? I couldn't answer. And so, because I felt, I don't know, at that time, I felt the academic setting did not have what I wanted. And so I just went along with it so that I could just, you know, finish school and see where life takes me.
So you finished the high school with, you know, passing, and then you choose to do an economics?
I did economics degree at Makerere University, 3 years.
Were you able to do ministry during that time? Or?
Yes, I did a lot of ministry at that time.
Yeah.
My life was full of ministry. I went up country a lot. We used to do a lot of missions. At the same time, I was a youth leader at the church that I told you. And so this entire time, the Lord was growing me as a minister, how to deal with people, how to deal with ministry. And at the same time, learning to do so in the work setting. Okay? Because even when I was at work, I was still a minister. My ministry never stopped.
So you say the time you first preached your first sermon, though you didn't know what it was, you thought it was same as motivational speaking, and then you get into music, and then you're doing ministry. How did you align to say, okay, it's either going to be speaking or creative arts? Was it something you thought, okay, in ministry, this is what I'll be doing? Will I be an usher? Will I be a rapper? Will I be a speaker?
I think like most people, there's always an inkling within your heart to show you the direction you're supposed to go, but you're never quite sure, so you try a bit of everything. So I sang in a choir, I sang tenor in a choir, I was in a dance group, like I told you, I was rapping, I acted, then at the same time preaching, but never in my life would I ever thought that I would have been a minister. It wasn't clear at that time until 2008 when I discovered my call as a teacher.
You discovered your call in 2008.
In 2008.
Were you still at university, or you had finished at the time?
2008 was my last year of university.
Okay. And so now you're finishing, you say, okay, now I'm sure this is what I want to do, but perhaps there are expectations at home that you have to get a job or find something formal. How did you make that transition to seek your purpose as opposed to what the family wanted?
When it came with my dad, when it comes to my parents, you can't tell them you're seeking purpose.
Yeah.
So he told me, go get a job. So I got a job. I worked with a financial institution here in Uganda. Then I worked with a tax body. The total working experience of 7 years. And that entire time I was searching for my true purpose, because you can be earning money and not satisfied where you are.
And you didn't see, even at the time of starting the work, you didn't say, okay, maybe this is something I want to do. Did you always know that I'm doing this, but until I actually move into something that I'm called to do?
I didn't always know that, but as time went on, it became evidently clear that the workspace was not where I was going to be, and it's not where I was meant to be. I remember when I shifted to the tax body that I was working in, even while there, people knew me as a minister, as a teacher of the word. And so it was in that setting that I realized, okay, I think this is what I'm actually called to do, because I can't escape it. No matter where I'm put, it always comes out. So I started to embrace it.
And also I imagine that in some of these families where there's been a bit of exposure, education, and the like, there can be pressure to maybe do further studies or, you know, try to rise up into what people think is a formal education system. Was that a pressure you got to say, oh, the first degree was enough, so go get a job?
The most important thing that I think to my parents, the most important thing was get a job and get out of our house and make a living for yourself. You know, the natural world seems to set a pattern for children to follow. You know, you're born, go to school, finish school, get a job, get married, get babies, make money, retire. And that seems to be the setting. So purpose is never within the context of parents who are not spiritual. And so, like many children, I had to struggle with going ahead with what was laid out for me and what was expected.
So you just got a job. Did you go back to school at some point, or?
Oh yes, I did.
That
at a certain point, I did. I went back for another degree now, and in international business.
It's also business as well. Yeah.
So I did a degree in international business, and when I finished, I'm overqualified because I also have a diploma. We're going to talk about that later. Diploma. I went to Israel. So when I'm a minister, this is not plan B.
It is something that really God called you to do. So you get the first degree in economics, you get another one in international business, you're working in the finance world. The people that you'd started with in school or in church who also thought were ministers, what were they up to at this point? Were they having the same questions about ministry versus work?
I think what consumed people's minds at that time was, let's make money.
Yeah.
You can serve God while working. And I know many people who had calls upon their lives, but the work world swallowed those calls up. And I often look back and I say, I thank God that I didn't fall in that category. It's a sad thing.
So you, and because, was it because some of these people did not know that maybe there's a purpose in ministry for them, or it's, we have to do what we have to do? Did you ever have conversations with them about this ministry thing?
There's a false perception that they had then, that we had then, or the church has, that ministers, if you're called to ministry, you're going to suffer, you're going to be poor, you're going to be broke. And so many people, even though they loved that kind of, to enter ministry, you just think, how am I going to provide for my family?
There was that restraint.
And there was that restraint. And I think it played a role for many of them.
And I see that a lot in the governments that we have, when you're working in financial institutions, the tax body, there are a lot of ethical issues, corruption and what. And here you come in, you're already a minister, so you cannot hide. How are you able to handle some of those dilemmas? Living up to the culture in the working environment, but also keeping up as a minister?
I found that the easiest way to handle the issue of integrity within financial institutions is to declare out loud from the very beginning that I'm a born-again Christian, or that I'm a Christian and these are my values. When you do that, people know the boundaries within which to involve you into certain things. So I learned that along the way, but initially it was not easy.
And you don't think that that can hinder someone's progress? You know, this thing, be wise as a serpent, but humble as a dove, find your way.
I think from the natural plane it can hinder people, but it's God who exalts. And so there's a certain blessing that falls on people who decide to stay integral, irrespective of what other men around them are trying to do. And such people, there's a specific anointing of honor that rests on them, and people can clearly see that it was the blessing of the Lord that raised them up.
So at that time you're doing ministry, you're in church, whereas in school perhaps there were these fellowships that you were part of and introduced you. Were there specific things that at this point you were trying to do to prepare yourself for ministry as and when you thought the time would come?
Yes, I was teaching.
I believe that all the answers to this world's problems, all the solutions to its questions, can be found deeply rooted and embedded in the Word of God.
And I would teach in church, I would teach, and then until finally I started up a small teaching class. I called it a teaching class. It was never my desire to go into ministry, never. I was not interested in full-time ministry. I thought once in a while I could do my part. And so I taught people when I could and went back to my work space.
So you're doing this teaching class on the side and then you're doing work. But what I'm trying to get is the motivational speaking thing there. Is it, do you know that this is actually teaching of the Bible, or do you still have a mindset of, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm going to make money out of this?
I even started a company called Passion 8. I started a motivational company, and I went from school to school.
While you're working already?
Yeah, while I was working, I take time off, go from school to school. And somehow, at that time, I still thought that this is the direction I'm going to take. I'm going to be a motivational speaker, while mixing in some Bible stuff and so on and so forth. So it was along the way that it started to take on its full form as ministry instead of motivational speaking.
Were there specific people at the time who are inspiring you, who you're saying, if I can be like that person, or this is the lane I want to go into?
Yes, there was some American ministers. I remember John C. Maxwell were books that I had, and he's a Christian. I used to listen to him a lot. And Miles Monroe. Then there was, when it came to end times, I loved Terry Stone. And so these are people that I looked up to, and they helped lay a foundation for me when it came to entering ministry.
In terms of what you're trying to build?
Yeah.
Okay. I would want us to talk about Israel and how that course there, but especially I'd want to see the impact there, but we'll probably touch that on the next episode.
That will be interesting.